Have you heard the gossip on Hashgraph? So do I have some gossip for you this week. Hashgraph featured in Bloomberg and much more media coverage. And some commentary from this guy. So with that said, let's get started.
What is he talking about?
And who am I? That's a secret you obviously know. You know you like me. Hashgraph. All right. So this past week, Hashgraph and the CU Ledger project was featured in Bloomberg. This is exciting because it gave us some insights into the practical use cases of Hashgraph and the project overall. So I wanted to highlight some of the items that stood out to me the most and also share with you some of my personal reactions and interpretations. So let's dive in. Okay, so the article states, a group of US credit unions looking to pool resources considered Bitcoin's and Ethereum blockchains to track their business, but wound up selecting something entirely different, Hashgraph. So then the article goes on to talk more about the background around Hashgraph and its benefits over blockchain. But then we get into my favorite part of the article, as we talk more about CU Ledger and some of the other projects that are in the works. To start things off, we get a quote from John Bass, the interim CTO of CU Ledger. When talking about the speed of Hashgraph, John states, Hashgraph is blazing fast. Okay, so this is important because CU Ledger is probably one of the biggest publicly announced projects that's using Hashgraph. And the speed and performance results coming out of this project are going to be critical in corroborating the claims made in the Hashgraph white paper. So having a statement like this on the record could mean a very promising future for this technology. Next up, the article talks about 20 different companies ranging from startups to multi-billion-dollar businesses and even government offices that have begun to road test Hashgraph. So this is hopefully a positive indicator that there's a strong interest out there for people using this technology. But probably the biggest item called out in this article comes from Matt Harmon, who states Hashgraph will also debut its own public distributed ledger related cryptocurrency later this year. Boom goes the dynamite. There you have it, folks. For all you out there that have been disappointed that you'll never get your hands on Hashgraph, well, patience is a virtue, and it looks like we'll probably see a public offering at some point in 2018. This is definitely a statement that has reason for excitement. But to add further to this excitement, the article featured a quote from Ari Paul, the co-founder of Block Tower Capital. In it, Ari talks about how Hashgraph-based cryptocurrencies could eventually make up 10% of the total market share. Maybe there was something that Ari knew that we hadn't realized already. So to follow up the Bloomberg article, there was also some other media coverage. One in particular was an article from TechCrunch titled, Blockchain Engineers Are in Demand. This is primarily a blockchain-centric article that speaks to the demand for engineers with blockchain experience and skills. However, I find it interesting that Hashgraph was cited as becoming one of the emerging projects that engineers are beginning to work with. I guess this is a good sign as people are actually working with this technology. But listen, my commentary alone isn't enough. So to help lend some better insights, I was able to get in contact with Swirlds, the Hashgraph Company, for further information. All right, so let's get started. Why don't you tell us who you are?
I'm Jordan Freed, and I'm the head of business development at Swirlds. Previously, I started a VPN company in Budapest, Hungary called Buffer.com, and I've made a bunch of early stage tech investments, one in Swirlds, and ended up joining the team full time last year to work on business development.
Sweet. All right, so I have to ask you, Jordan, so what's your take on the Bloomberg article, including some of the other media coverage that's been out there?
All of us at Hashgraph and Swirlds couldn't be more grateful for the media coverage that we've been so fortunate to have over the last few weeks. I thought the article was very positive. And we're excited to share even more than what was covered in that article over the coming weeks and months.
All right. So in the article, it talks about how you guys are working with some 20-plus enterprises, including governments. With that being said, is there any other highlights or insights that you might be able to lend to the community?
Yes, we have been completely inundated with inbound interest over the last few weeks. Those who have reached out may have noticed slow replies, but we're certainly doing our best. We are hiring as quickly as possible with the addition of Ken Anderson to our team that I know you covered in a previous episode. We will have new hires to announce shortly, and this only increases the capacity in terms of business development or new partners that we can handle. And we're excited to announce more in addition to OpenVMS and CU Ledger, who we've recently announced.
Sweet. So it sounds like Hashgraph is slowly becoming a hit. I guess what are some of the other reactions that you guys are hearing from people out there?
Well, we certainly have our work cut out for us, but our technology speaks for itself. The fundamentals, we really believe you simply cannot do better in terms of bandwidth and in terms of security. Most really appreciate that up front, and I'm blown away by the new use cases I'm hearing and the new ideas that people have on how to leverage Hashgraph and how disruptive it's becoming in their businesses.
Great. All right. So lastly, I have to ask you this. Is there any gossip that you might be able to share with us tonight?
Well, this is the gossip guy, so I wish I had more. I wish I had more gossip to share, but there will be many more announcements over the coming weeks and months, and we're very excited for those. For now, we have a very active community on Telegram and a few meetups coming up in Dallas, in Boston, and in New York, where I will be. And we're excited to meet all of you in the community that have taken such a big interest, and we can't thank you all enough for the support. So we're excited to share more soon.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Jordan, for joining us, and good luck with everything.
It's a pleasure to be here, and thanks for all the good work you're doing.
Great. So lastly, as Jordan mentioned before, there's going to be a Hashgraph Meetup on February 28th here in New York City. If it's not obvious already, I too am based here in New York City, so I'll personally be attending. And I also hope it's an opportunity to get to meet some of you guys from the community, and hopefully we'll get the opportunity to gossip more about Hashgraph. So that's it. That's all the gossip that I have for you this week. Join me next week as we gossip about a world powered by Hashgraph. Thanks for watching. So what's your take on the intro?
Man, I love your intro.
Hashgraph.
Hashgraph.